Hey guys, welcome back to Earthbeat. In this video, we are going to replace the screen on this Samsung S20 FE. As you can see, the screen is broken and shattered. This device is still usable with the broken screen, but we need to replace it to have a brand new refurbished device. This is the new screen that we are going to install on this device. We are going to do something at the same time is to change the color of this device. We are moving from a pink color to a blue S20 FE. As always, in order to start, we need to hit the back of this device to soften the tip on the back of the device. After that, we need to insert our tool in order to remove the back cover of this device. Use your suction tool to pull the back cover a little bit upward and then insert your plastic tool to start the separation process of the back cover and the frame of the device. Use your plastic tool to move around all the edges of the device. After you've done all the four sides of this device, you can remove the back cover safely. Something very important to take into consideration while removing the back cover of a Samsung S20 FE is the plastic portion of the back cover. The back cover of this device is made 90% of plastic, and while heating up the back cover, you need to be careful not to damage it. If you use too much heat on the back of this back cover, you will surely burn the back cover of this device and you will have to replace it. Since we are doing a little bit of customization on this device, we need to have a new back cover also of the same color as the frame of the new screen. To continue our screen replacement, we need to remove all the screws that we have on this device. Quickly remove all the screws at the top and all the screws at the bottom of the device. After that, we need to lift the wireless charging pad, and with that, the loudspeaker just came out. We need to remove everything at the same time because they are both connected. The plastic covering at the top of the device is connected with the wireless charging pad. After we've loosened the plastic covering on the top of the device, we can remove everything that is attached together. The loudspeaker is attached to the wireless charging pad with only double-sided tape. So if we wanted, we could separate the loudspeaker from the wireless charging pad. Our next step in our screen replacement is to remove the battery flex cable. After we have removed the battery flex cable, no other current is flowing inside the component of this device. So we can go ahead and use our tools to remove any other smaller piece of component like the antennas and any other flex cable that we can see. So while removing the antennas, make sure that you do not pull too much on it because it is really tiny and you can break it if you pull it too hard. Next step, we've just removed the main flex cable that connects the motherboard to the charging module. After that, we can remove the other antenna cable on the left of the device and start to disconnect all the flex cables that connect the cameras to the motherboard. We need to remove all the component, all the smaller piece of component one by one, and ultimately remove the motherboard after we've removed everything else. I was having a little bit of difficulty to remove the main camera. I was really surprised how easy it went out with gravity. Next, we need to remove the SIM card tray. After we've removed the SIM card tray, we can start to lift the motherboard a little bit upward with our tools. And if you're feeling some kind of resistance, you need to look at the motherboard and try to locate the screw that is still attaching the motherboard and the frame together. After we've removed that screw, we can use our tool to lift the motherboard up, and that way we can completely remove the motherboard out of the frame of the device. The motherboard is out, and we need to go at the bottom of the device and do the same thing for the smaller component. So for the bottom of the device, we need to remove this small PCB board that connect to the motherboard with the blue antenna cable. And after that, we have one screw that we need to remove to safely remove the charging module. Connected to the charging module, we have two flex cables. One is for the fingerprint sensor and the other one is the screen flex cable. We've just removed the screen flex cable and we can try to remove the charging module itself. To remove the charging module, you need to insert your tool and try to push the charging module upward. And when you have enough of the charging module out, you need to grab it and move the charging module right and left until you have the charging module completely out of the shell of the device. The next part that we will be removing is the fingerprint sensor. This is very similar to the front-facing camera. You need to hit the part just a little bit and use your tool to remove the part safely. If you do not hit the fingerprint sensor and try to pull on it, it may get damaged while you pull strongly to remove it. This device, Vibrating Motor, sits below the charging module. To remove the vibrating motor, you can hit the area where we have the vibrating motor a little bit because this part is strongly glued to the frame of the device. So our next step is to remove the battery out of the shell of this device so that we can start to reinstall everything inside the new frame that comes with the screen. To remove the battery, I'm going to use heat to soften the tape on the back of the battery. To achieve that, I need to hit the screen, the front of the device, in order to have enough heating element going through the screen and slightly hitting the tape on the back of the battery. And you use one of your tools on the bottom of the battery to start to pull the battery upward. This battery is surprisingly very soft. It is different than the other batteries that I have worked with coming from Samsung. It tends to bend a little bit too easy. So use your tool to remove the battery after you know that the screen is heated a little bit so that it won't take too much force to remove the battery. The battery on this device can be bent slightly, but too much bent on the battery is not good. What you want to avoid also is puncturing the battery. You need to be very careful while you use metal tool because if you puncture one of these batteries, you can start fire and your device is going to be irrecuperable. So this is the new screen. We need to just inspect the new screen for a little bit, make sure that everything looks okay, and then we can start the reinstallation of everything. We will start with the battery installation. The battery is very simple. Since we use heat to remove the battery, we still have some double-sided tape on the back of the battery. So you just have to insert the battery in, level the battery a little bit to make sure that the cable will land perfectly to the motherboard portion of the battery. Next, we have installed the motherboard. You could have installed the motherboard before the battery or the battery before the motherboard. After those two have been installed, you can start the installation of the cameras. We have 4 cameras that we just installed. We need to make sure all the flex cables are connected to the motherboard. Check all flex cable connection that you've made so far. Make sure that it is perfectly connecting to the motherboard. All cameras are on and connected. We can move to the bottom portion of the device. We will start with the vibrating motor that we need to install first, and after that we can start the installation of the charging module. To install the charging module, you need to put it at an angle of 45 to 30 degrees and then push the charging module inside for the charging port to enter the slot. Push down on the charging module. It is going to sit in its final sitting position. The installation of the in-fingerprint sensor is very easy as you just saw it, and make sure that you connect all the flex cable that you have at the bottom of the device, especially the flex cable of the screen. This flex cable tend to be missed since it is not a component that you just install inside the device. Next, install the small PCB board that has the blue antenna cable. Make sure that it is sitting correctly and then apply a little bit of pressure for the tape to stick. So the installation of the antenna cables, I did that offline. As you can see, all 3 antenna cables have been installed already. So next we need to install the main flex cable that connects the motherboard to the charging module. After that, the circuit has been completed. Make sure that the flex cable on the charging module and the motherboard are inserted, connected and properly landed. The next thing that we need to do is install the loudspeaker and charging module cover. At this point, we can install all the screws that goes on the loudspeaker. The bottom portion of this device is completely ready, so we can move on the top of the device to insert the battery cable. After we have connected the battery cable, we must not forget that we have one screw holding the motherboard to the frame of the device. After that screw has been inserted, we can turn on the device and start our testing. So at this point, you can test the device for 5 minutes and make sure that all the functionalities are working, all the features, cameras, everything is ready for the back cover installation. The bottom portion is ready. We can start the installation of the plastic covering that is going to cover the motherboard and the cameras. Make sure that you hear some clicks after you push down on the plastic covering. After that, we need to install all the screws and then make sure that the wireless charging pad is properly seated and taped to the charging module plastic covering. So at this point, do a small inspection of everything. Make sure that all the screws have been inserted and we can move to the next step. This is one of those back cover that has been cheaply made, and the camera bump itself does not stick to the back cover. We need to do something before we install the back cover of this device. For the installation, we need to remove all the unnecessary plastic covering and then use our tool to press the double-sided tape that goes around the back cover. You need to do that to make sure that the double-sided tape sticks firmly onto the back cover before we install it. So I've just removed the last plastic covering on this double-sided tape. The tape on this back cover is very thin and it is a cheap double-sided tape. For this kind of back cover with cheap materials, you need to add B7000 to reinforce the double-sided tape. If you do not add some B7000 or any other electronic repair glue, your device back cover might come off after 1 to 2 months of use. This double-sided tape does not have the same thickness as the original double-sided tape and it does not follow the same proportion. So you will need some extra B7000 or some extra glue for your back cover to at least stick to the back of your device. I had to do the same thing for the camera bezel. At least after doing this, I am sure that the device back cover is going to stick for a longer period of time compared to the scenario when I had installed this without doing anything. Something that you can do to make sure everything goes smoothly is to do the camera bezel first. After you've done the camera bezel and the flashlight, you can go on the double-sided tape around the back cover and add your B7000 on that area. B7000 start to cure a few minutes after you have put it around the back cover. So you need to act fast if you're going to use B7000 as a reinforcement for your back cover double-sided tape. Another extremely easiest way to avoid all this is to communicate with the seller of the back cover. Talk to the seller before you purchase any part. If you exchange message with the seller and he promises you that his parts are quality and original part qualities, you can be assured that the part that you're getting are not going to be half sticky or the same kind as the one that I got. Also, make sure that you use some clamps to apply some pressure for at least 15 to 20 minutes to the back cover. After that, your device should be ready for use. Thank you for coming all the way to the end. Subscribe, like and share. Check the next vid for the camera.